Okay, so are we ready for another action figure unboxing? I hope you are, because I got one for you anyway. And this is Mcfarlane's New Adventures of Batman, the Joker. And there's a nice look at the digital render of the character's head sculpt. Should be pretty awesome. I got more superpowers coming up in the next few days. I got this Justice Lord's Superman, and I have, where is it? Yeah, Batman of Zur-En-Arrh. Got that coming up, along with the Superpowers Batmobile, the new McFarlane Superpowers Batmobile. We got that coming up, but I got this guy in the mail today, so I'm going to go ahead and open up. He arrived from Amazon. You can see the card's kind of beat up. This is not a warehouse deal, so they just sent me one with a crappy card. You got the package kind of smashed there a little bit in the corner, but it doesn't look like the figure is disturbed, so that's good. We got the logo at the top for the New Adventures of Batman cartoon. This was made by Filmation in the 1970s. So this is not Batman 66, this is Batman 77. And but it does have the classic TV series logo at the bottom. So we know that it is indeed a part of that series. And we see the Batmobile, Batcave, Batman and Robin about to race into action. And this design of the Joker was originally made for the 1968 New Adventures, not New Adventures, just the Adventures of Batman cartoon. I called it the Adventures of Batman and Robin in some of the earlier episodes I did this, but in fact the show was just called The Adventures of Batman officially. But the title card said Batman with Robin, the Boy Wonder, so that's probably why I was thinking that. So, and I got a couple of other figures from this line to show off with them. So we can compare those. And some other historical fun stuff that we're going to go over. So let's go ahead and open them up. And is he going to be one of these McFarlane figures that's like glued very securely to the package? It seems like he is. There's no glue over here at the side, though, so I think that's going to be the spot to open it. Now, I think they have all these exterior bubbles. Like, it's all the same bubble. Like, so that's why they've all got the same sort of double flash over here for the accessories, which, of course, originally would have been exclusively those automatopoeia things. But here lately, they've had having them come with new accessories. So his accessory is a newspaper, which is printed on cardboard. And we will have a look at that in a second. Let's go ahead and get him out of the package. So there are the dreaded double plastic tabs at his waist. Let's go ahead and cut through those. And it looks like that's the only plastic tabs holding him in, thank goodness. And there is the Joker out of the package. You know what? I can grab one more Joker while I'm at it, because I just thought that this might be relevant. So I'm going to go ahead and grab him real quick. He's just over here across from me, so it's not going to take me too long. So we're going to compare the various Jokers. You can see I actually wore an appropriate t-shirt today, and it says the original gangsters, and it has all the classic Batman villains. It's got the Joker and Catwoman, the Riddler, and the Penguin. These are all in their classic looks, I believe, from the Jose Luis Garcia Lopez DC Comics style guide. So a Joker very much like the one that we see in this figure. But we're going to go over all that. So here he is. Great head sculpt. I love this head sculpt. And it is a little oversized, I think. But that is appropriate for the Joker. He should have kind of a large head. So got the kind of Wolverine kind of haircut with the points sticking up there like the little devil horns. And we can see that he has black hair with 2 green streaks, one on either side of his head. And that is accurate to how he was drawn on the Filmation cartoons. So his hair was not entirely colored in green. It was black with the 2 green streaks. Now, usually the way they drew him in the comic book was they drew him as if he had black hair with green highlights, which we can see in this image here. I specifically got the box that my 50th anniversary Joker Migo figure came in, because I wanted to show him next to the Filmation cartoon version of the character. And the Filmation style guide, the Filmation model sheet, like very heavily based on this particular illustration of the Joker, I believe. This was a very ubiquitous illustration of the Joker that if you saw merchandise of the Joker anytime in the 60s through the 70s, chances are it was going to have this picture on it, because this was like the most iconic picture they had of the Joker. This is by Carmine Infantino, and I believe the inks were Murphy Anderson. So that's who did this one. And it was originally, I think, a pinup picture in a Batman comic book, and they wound up using it on a lot of merchandise since then. So growing up in the late part of the 70s, I became very familiar with this illustration of the Joker. And of course, like I said, I remember watching this particular Filmation cartoon when I was a kid. So I'm very familiar with this design of the Joker. And to me, I always really liked the way that they drew him on the Filmation cartoons. So I'm a big fan of this design. And of course, from the neck down, they basically just reused the Cesar Romero Joker figure. So it works for the most part, but there are a couple of differences that I'm going to point out. And one is that going back to one of the earlier Joker figures, and again, we can see this on the box too. We can see this on the design here. See how shoulders are a little more poofy? And they definitely did that with the Superpowers Joker action figure. I wanted to compare these two because I feel like their color schemes are very similar. Of course, it is two different Jokers of the same era pretty much, but you can see the color scheme almost identical. This guy has like a bit of a, it's a slightly darker, yet there we go. The original Vigo Joker, this one was very much the very first Joker action figure ever made. Also very much based on that Carmine Infantino artwork. You can definitely see that in the head sculpt. And even the way they drew his tie, very similar to how it was drawn in that. So, and then here is the Topps trading card version. And you can see his purple is a little less vibrant. And he has the same thing going on where they colored his hair black and gave him green highlights to the hair. And I don't have the basic 1966 Joker yet, unfortunately. But I do have the surfing Joker, so we can see him next to the surfing Joker, and that's pretty cool. So let's go over his articulation somewhat, since I don't think like I've had a video just on this Joker, this style of Joker yet. I did talk about the Lunchbox figure when I did the Lunchbox review, but that wasn't like a full review of it. So let's talk about his articulation. Of course, the head rotates all the way around. And I noticed when I was moving around earlier, it's got a slightly better than average range of motion for these Mcfarlane classic TV series figures. He can look up about that far. He can look down about that far. So that's really good. He can kind of tilt his head a little quizzically from side to side. And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that he has a somewhat skinny neck and this bulbous head. So it makes it pretty easy to move his head around. The arms rotate all the way around at the shoulder. And even though it's a little stiff, they move up about that far. Come on, you. Trying to kind of coax it a little bit. Never force your joints. Apply heat if you have to. Use a hairdryer or boiling water if you have to, but never force them. So yeah, arms move up about that far. Good range of motion on the arms. Elbows bend about 90 degrees. And then, of course, rotate all the way around. But it is at a slight angle, so it's not going to be 90 degrees if you have it bent backwards. But that's not a natural movement anyway, so who cares? Wrists rotate all the way around. There we go. And there is a pivot at the waist, so you can turn his waist. And the legs kick up about that far. Really good range of motion on those legs. Knees bend about that far. It's a single bend at the knee, and it does rotate all the way around. Absolutely no articulation from the knee down. There's no ankle joints. There's no boot cut. There's no anything like that. So it's a solid leg from the knee down. So the Joker has a pretty simple paint scheme, which you would expect being based on an animated version of the character. So we have, like I said, the black hair with the green stripes. He's got, they did a really good job with his makeup, which is pretty accurate to how he's drawn on the cartoon, with this kind of blue eyeshadow bright red lips. The eyebrows are really good. Like I said, I believe that, you know, this was obviously based on the Carmine Infantino illustration of the Joker, but it does have a lot of that Dick Sprang sort of feel that I really like for the Joker to have. So I think they captured that really, especially that profile. That's definitely a Dick Sprang profile. So if you want a classic Dick Sprang Joker for you know, your superheroes, this is a good one to have, especially if they happen to be in this sort of scale. Like, I think this would work pretty well with DC Universe Classics. Also, it fits in with that sort of scale. Do I have one of those handy? I know that I had. I think it's over on my shelf. But I know I had a Batman handy from DC Universe Classics. But it should scale pretty well with that. I'll see if I can remember to take a picture of him next to that Batman and put that in the P&B post. But here he is with the New Adventures Batman. And you can see they look great together, just like in the cartoon. Very cool. So, but I love that head sculpt. That to me is like a perfect Joker head sculpt. I think that's just amazing to look at. Very fascinating. And I'm of the opinion nobody in comics ever drew the Joker better than Dick Sprang. So to have a Joker that looks like a Dick Sprang Joker, that's, to me, that's where it's at. So I have every figure in this line so far except for the Riddler. So I'm hoping I can try to order the Riddler next week because I haven't gotten around to ordering him yet. And of course, the Joker was one that I really wanted, even though, like, you know, I wanted to make sure that, obviously you want Batman and Robin. So I got Batman first and I got Robin at the same time. And then the next week I got Commissioner Gordon and Batgirl. And then I was like, okay, I gotta move on the Joker and the Riddler before they get sold out. So, but for the most part, I think even with this being a reuse of the Cesar Romero Joker, it works pretty well. There are a couple of slight inaccuracies though because of that. For one thing, like I'd already pointed out, with the Superpowers figure has this, where the shoulders are kind of poofy, like the sleeves kind of stick up a little bit. That's how he was drawn on the cartoon. And like, again, with the Carmine Infantino illustration, we can see that a little bit. But he didn't look like that when Cesar Romero played him. So, and again, this is a Cesar Romero body. And then he's got just plain shoes with no spats whatsoever. And in the Filmation cartoon, how they depicted his pants leg, and you can kind of see it the way they drew it here, is that the pants leg, rather than him having proper spats, he just had kind of like almost like a stirrup on the pants leg that would have hooked around his heel. And that was how he was drawn on the Filmation cartoon as well. They did not do that here. He just has a plain black shoe. And it would have been nice. What I would have done is just went ahead and painted like a purple spat on there anyway. I mean, obviously it wouldn't have been sculpted the same, but, you know, it would have been nice to acknowledge that with some paint. It might have been something that, like, they didn't even notice that when they were designing the toy. So I don't know. But yeah, so New Adventures of Batman Joker, I highly recommend. I don't know, some people might be kind of purists and wanting to stay away from the cartoon figures and only concentrate on the actual 1966 characters. But I genuinely think that this subline has been a lot of fun, and I've really been enjoying it. And I can't wait to pick up the Riddler. I can't wait to do the video talking about the Riddler, because that's going to be a lot of fun. Let's have a look at this newspaper real quick. And it's folded backwards. Like, this should be like the front page of the paper, right? I'm going to see if I can fold it back the other way. So really, he should be holding it like this. But you can see it says "Gas War" at the top in big letters. And this was an actual newspaper that the Joker was reading in the episode. And it says underneath, "Gotham City finds itself in the midst of a fuel frenzy as a gas war erupts among the city's gas stations." And then it says, "Newly elected mayor vows to eradicate crime and corruption. Gotham's waterscape car takes road by storm." That was the car that the Joker was stealing in that episode, this prototype car that ran on water. "Downtown Gotham's dazzling disco scene. Gotham's art scene flourishes. Local Gotham showcase Uh, Local Gothamites showcase world-class talent, and it's got a picture of like what looks like an elderly man in a ski cap. Is that Jerry Robinson? Dick Sprang? Somebody like that? I don't know. Wayne Industries unveils futuristic personal computers. Wow, a computer you could have in your own house. That's amazing. Like, what's next? Maybe they'll come up with computers that you could like carry around with you in your pocket and just film videos where you talk about action figures or something. That'd be wild. Let's see. Education Revolution, Gotham's new charter schools. Gotham's haunted history, exploring the mysteries of Arkham Asylum. Ooh. So I don't think they ever sent the Joker to Arkham Asylum on the cartoon, but it was established in the comic book at that point. Now you can't really hold this newspaper properly because the hands just aren't made to do that. But it is nice that they had the newspaper accessory that he was actually reading that in the episode. So that was pretty cool. So yeah, all in all, I would highly recommend this figure. I think this would be one that most people would want to have in their collection of Batman action figures. It does fit in, I think, with most 6-inch figures. It's a little small, obviously, when you compare him to like say like the mainline Mcfarlane DC multiverse figures. Because like I said, this is a 6-inch figure and this is a 7-inch figure. But I got a G.I. Joe handy here. And this is like a guy who's tall for a G.I. Joe, but you can see what I'm talking about. Like, it fits in a little bit better with that. And I don't think I have any other G.I. Joes around here right now because I'm trying to rearrange things. But yeah, and also he's got black shoes, whereas that Joker illustration and this figure have brown shoes. And the Superpowers Joker has lavender shoes. They didn't bother to paint that any other color. But it is cool to see him next to the Superpowers. I might do a picture where I take a picture with Superpowers Joker and Batman versus New Adventures Joker and Batman. I don't have the original Superpowers Batman, unfortunately, but I do have the later Mcfarlane one, which I think is really cool. Anyway, that's pretty much it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please make sure that you like and subscribe, all that fun YouTube stuff down below. Leave a comment, let me know what you think about this figure, and we will talk to you next time. Bye.